housing market has been absolutely insane for the last several years. And as we jump into 2024, I'm sure we're going to head into some more craziness. There's a lot of experts out there that are trying to gauge the future of what's going to happen with home prices. But there are some key indicators and factors when it comes to a housing crash. We're going to be looking at each and every one of those so you can decide for yourself if 2024 is going to be the year that we finally see home prices start tanking, or we're going to be even keel, or we're going to see another 15% jump like Barbara Corcoran said not too long ago. I don't know if I buy that one. It looks like we're going to be in for another bumpy ride when we're going into 2024 when it comes to the housing market. All right, so what are the key indicators when it comes to a housing crash? Speculative bubbles is one of them. An economic downturn, kind of like inflation, Interest rates, of course. Overbuilding, tightening of credit standards, house flipping, how those people. Now, this Newsweek article says the problem with the housing market isn't from speculators. Speculative investors are driving up the price of housing because they view it not as a good to be used, but as an asset that they can earn money from through the rental yield and future appreciation. So if you're hoping that these speculators will dump all these properties all at one time, it's probably not going to happen. But if you had a smaller company that had a good portion of properties in your specific neighborhood, that could really cause a big problem because they're dictating the price. And if they're dumping all of their properties at once and they're doing it for a discount, that's going to bring down the median cost for your entire neighborhood. So do you think it's going to be the speculators that cause the housing crash in the future? Time will tell, but we still have some more factors to look at. All right, let's talk about home construction because that has been one of those things that has been a storm brewing since the last crash. During the last crash, home builders really got it stuck to them because they had overbuilt so many homes and they had to take a big price cut on all of them. A lot of home builders got out of the business. Since that time, home builders will not build more than they have to. We've been undersupply for quite some time, and they've been trying to fill the market with build-to-rent homes. That's what the speculators have done. Builders' confidence has been up and down all year this year, and I can safely say it's probably going to be like that again next year. Another factor when it comes to a housing crash and what had happened in the past is overbuilding. We had built way too many homes right before the mortgage collapse hit, and builders were left with an excess of homes all over the country. Many home builders during that time went underwater. They learned their lesson since then, and that's really kind of caused the problem that we have today. Not enough homes being built, and the homes that home builders are willing to build now are the bigger homes. Oh, the only time that we see a lot of excess building is when the builders feel super confident, and that's when they have low cost on building materials, low cost of development of land, and they don't have a lot of red tape they have to go through. And all of those factors are weighing against them, so they're not willing to build as many homes as they had in the past. They're having a hard time getting enough workers to come and build the houses that they need to have built. And of course, the wavering prices of building materials has gone up and down, and it's really hard to predict on how much a home will cost by the time they get finished with it. And as home builders see the cost of mortgage rates going up, they're less likely to build. So we're still going to be in the predicament of not having enough newer homes hitting the market. So let's talk about the economic downturn. It wasn't really much of a downturn, but inflation has really crippled many families. More and more Americans are depending on credit cards because they have pretty much drained out their savings accounts. People that do own a home, they do have a lot of equity in their homes. And most of them haven't tapped into it at this time, but 2024 could change all that. I know we keep getting these glowing reports from the jobs market, but there's plenty of jobs listed, but there isn't many jobs that are really hiring right at this moment. Now let's talk about the economy. Inflation has really affected everybody across the board. And housing for most Americans is costing them 45% of their income. To me, this is where we're skating on dangerous territory. Now, the next factor when it comes to a housing crash is an economic collapse. For instance, when we had the mortgage crisis last time, that's caused a lot of people to have job layoffs. Groceries, gas, electronics, anything you can think of just to live is costing us a lot more, including our electric bills. But the one thing that we have going for us right now is the job market hasn't tanked. There has been a lot of job layoffs. I think we're in 2024, my gut feeling, this isn't from anything else, is that we're going to see a lot more of that. If some people cannot afford their mortgage, they're going to be forced to sell. This could be an opportunity for you as a home buyer to go ahead and start scooping up some of the houses that people can no longer afford to pay for. Is it going to cause a humongous collapse of home prices? Only time will tell. Right now, on paper, on the numbers, it looks still rosy. And the Fed only has so many levers they can push in order for inflation to be under control. And the last one they have to push is the jobs market. So do you think it's going to be jobs that takes out the housing market? Let me know. Now, according to Reuters, they say incoming data has made us reassess our prior view of an upcoming recession that had already been pushed to 2024. We revised our outlook in favor of a soft landing where growth falls below trend in 2024, but remains positive throughout. In the meantime, we're seeing more and more baby boomers actually end up homeless. Everybody in the younger generations love to blame the baby boomers for the cost of homes right now. According to Yahoo Finance, they said that baby boomers are becoming more homeless than they were even during the Great Depression. Is it a housing crisis, or is this a sign of a housing crash in the future? Only time will tell. And who knows if it's all going to come to a catalyst in 2024. Now let's talk about interest rates. During the whole entire pandemic, interest rates for homes were extremely low, the lowest they ever seen in decades. And people were scooping up houses as fast as they could. At this point, now they're trapped because interest rates now are nearly double what they were a year and a half ago. But there have been rumors all throughout the year that we were going to see interest rates again hit 5%. And this is when Barbara Corcoran said that home prices were going to go up another 15%. And the reason she was saying that in the first place is that we do have a very tight supply of homes available. So if you see interest rates hitting the fives, she's right. There's going to be a buying frenzy, especially for those first-time home buyers. Now, the Federal Reserve plays a large role in inflation expectations. This is because the bond market perception is how the Fed is controlling inflation through the administration of short-term interest rates, which the market interprets to determine the long-term interest rates, such as the yield on the U.S. 10-year Treasury bond. And that brings us to our next factor of what would cause a housing crash, and that's tightening of credit standards. When lenders start tightening their crediting practices, it makes it more difficult for a home buyer to be approved for a loan. This can reduce demand and lead to a housing market downturn. Do y'all remember the home flippers of like 2008 and 2007? Well, they haven't really like dried up and gone away. They're still around. Right now, they've been in a big rallying cry because even though their profits had gone down at the first part of 2023, they continue to go back up at the end of 2023. So, they're like still making a lot of profits, but they're flipping to flip it to rent it. And this is what they said: remote work, rising interest rates, and rent increases and changing lifestyles all factor into the financial and personal decisions. That's why renting or buying is more confusing than ever for investors and tenants alike. I mean, you don't even know what you should be doing right now. You have one expert that's telling you to buy. You have another expert that's telling you to continue to rent. Who do you listen to? And it's not like you can turn to government policies. They have been known to save things, but they've also been known to ruin things. Back in 2008, when the housing market was falling apart, they gave a benefit to home buyers, like a $5,000 to $10,000. They were incentivizing home buyers to purchase homes available for people to purchase. All that would do was drive prices back up. But let me just tell you something about that COVID relief package. All that money went to the states, and the states had to allocate who actually got the money. Each state had to come up with their own way of distributing this money. That right now would be a recipe for disaster. Now, when it comes to a housing crisis or a housing crash, natural disasters need to be discussed. All you have to do is turn on the news at any time, and it seems like some areas having mass flooding, mass fires, and it's taking out a lot of real estate. People have to rebuild those homes. It's going to take a lot of time and a lot of money, and some people just do not have the resources for that. And on top of that, homeowners insurance, including flood insurance, has gotten outrageously expensive. This could cause many people to have no choice because they can't afford their homeowners insurance to go ahead and have to sell. So even though this may add to the inventory next year in 2024, but who's going to be able to purchase those homes because insurance is like thousands of dollars more than it was. On one of my rental properties, it's double than it was last year. And even on my personal house, it went up $700 for the year. So this could be the catalyst that starts a wave of inventory that hits the market in 2024. When I talk to anybody about the real estate market and what they think that's going to happen, pretty much everybody says, I think home prices are going to tank. And that to me just means that there's going to be more people thinking, I'm not going to buy a house because they're afraid home prices are going to crash. If that sentiment carries over into 2024, and you have more people that are pulling out of the market altogether, that means less mortgages are going to be written and more people that have to sell are going to have a harder time selling. This could cause a lot more houses to be on the market, and it could cause home prices to reduce. Sometimes markets aren't because of numbers, they're because of feelings. But I want to know what your feeling is going to be for 2024. Do you think home prices are going to crash to the ground, or do you think that home prices are going to go up? Let me know in the comment section below. To watch more videos about the housing crisis here in the United States, you're going to want to watch these videos right here. My name is Kristina Smallhorn, your real estate whisperer, and I tell you all this because good real estate information matters.